Good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of Unlocking Medicare with Tyrone Carr, your host, Tyrone Carr. Today's episode, we're going to talk about Medicare Advantage plans and the questions that you should be asking to identify the appropriate Advantage plan that's best for you. All right, so now we're going to get into Medicare Advantage plans, how you should break down the Advantage plans and identify the one that's specifically best for you. Now, here in the state of Michigan, now every state is different, but here in the state of Michigan, there's 68 plans to choose from. So if you're someone that you've chosen a drug plan or a Medicare Advantage plan, you've been on one for a few years, or maybe you've kind of made up your mind what plan you're going to choose. I've had conversations with people, and they didn't realize that there was so many plan choices to choose from. But again, there's 68. So what was your process in order to identify that plan? Because this is what you should know. One, they're not all the same. You've got PPOs, you have an HMO, and you have an HMO POS. Some plans have referrals. Some plans offer dental. Some plans offer vision. Some plans offer hearing. Some offer a fitness plan. Some offer an over-the-counter benefit. Some plans offer transportation. Some plans add money back to your Social Security check. So these are just some of them, and we can really dive and get really deeper and deeper into these. But these are questions that we need to identify what's important to you. Is it fitness? Is it, a dental hearing benefit? Is it, an over-the-counter benefit? Now this can vary depending on the plan and the specific carrier. It can also vary based upon whether you're dual eligible, Medicare, Medicaid. Is transportation, is that important to you because you need transportation? Plans that offer the Social Security benefit. Now, when you see these commercials, you see the ones with JJ from Good Times, William Shatner, Joe Namath, and they're talking about, putting money back in your Social Security check, and this is based upon your zip code. Completely not true at all. It's actually purely based upon your income. It has nothing to do with your zip code. Because you can be someone who makes $100,000 a year, and you live in the same zip code as a guy who makes, $12,000 a year, and that particular individual that makes $12,000 is going to qualify for a give back type plan that's going to put money back in the Social Security check. Not the guy who's making $100,000 a year between his pension, Social Security, and distributions from his assets. So the money putting back into your Social Security check has nothing to do with your zip code. So first, what we need to know is, do you travel? Now, do you travel within inside of the state you reside in? Do you plan on traveling throughout the United States? Or do you plan on traveling abroad? Now, how often do you see a doctor? Do you see a specialist? So is it important to you to make certain that you have the freedom to pick and choose your doctors or your specialists? So we want to limit whether your plan has referrals or not, depending on how you answer that question. Do you take medications? So if you watch the video prior, or with the talking about the drug plan, the same process goes into a Medicare Advantage, because some of them also have drug coverage built into it. Out of the 68, there's 4 plans that don't actually have drug coverage. So you want to make certain that you don't choose a plan that doesn't have drug coverage when you have medications that need to be covered. So we want to follow that same 5-step process. We want to identify your zip code and the county you reside in, because that's, again, it's going to identify the pharmacies that are preferred versus a standard or out of network. We wanted to verify the specific medication that you're taking. We want to verify the dosage, the frequency of use, and the frequency of refill. This information will allow us to identify what Medicare Advantage plan is going to maximize the savings when it comes to covering those specific medications. Now, tying in some of these other ancillary services that are important to you that you find value. So if transportation isn't important to you, then we may not look at a plan that offers transportation. Maybe it's hearing. Now, what you're not going to find when you look, some people are using different, like Medicare's website, or they're using other types of third-party resources to identify certain Medicare Advantage plans, or looking in the Medicare New booklet. What you're not going to find in those resources is that when you start looking at the summary of benefits, they're not specific, meaning that, for example, you could have a Medicare Advantage plan that says we're going to cover hearing at no monthly cost. This is zero copay. And then you look at another carrier that has a copay between $295 up to $2,000, per hearing aid. But what you don't know, when you're just looking at this as face value, you're thinking that this naturally is going to be a better plan compared to the one that has a copay. What you don't know is that these plans put a cap on the amount in which they're covered per hearing aid, whereas some of the carriers that have a copay don't put a cap on it. So for example, you could pay $1,000 for a hearing aid, that's your copay, but it's going to cover a $5,000 or $6,000 hearing aid. So the savings is much greater here than it is with the plan that says or shows that it's a zero copay. So we want to make sure that we understand what your current situation is, not only understand what your current situation is, but maybe a little bit more information as to what your family history is. So you might be healthy now. However, what could your health look like potentially down the road based upon family history? So let's bring that information to your attention, so that way you're informed, you're educated. So it's important to understand, again, do you know the difference between a PPO, HMO, and HMO POS? Do you understand if you have a PPO that certain plans have limits to the amount in which they cover when you're abroad versus when you travel outside the state of Michigan? Are you aware of that? Because it doesn't disclose that information inside of your summary benefits. And if you have a really good, competent agent, they're going to know this information and be able to share it with you, so that way, again, you're making an informed decision rather than just taking a guess as to what you think it covers or what it just looks like on paper. But in reality, when you go to use it, that's when you're finding out exactly what you actually have. So we want to avoid that at all costs. If you choose an HMO, does your HMO have a referral? Some carriers don't require a referral with an HMO. What level of coverage, dental and vision, do you have? Now, when you look at the summary of benefits, some of the platforms, resources out there don't get into the specifics. You're only going to find the detailed information if you talk to a physical licensed agent with those specific carriers. What is the over-the-counter benefit? So for you that aren't aware of this benefit, this is a feature that's built into the policy that will give you money to apply towards items such as, Band-Aids, toothpaste, vitamins, cough syrup, ibuprofen, what else? Aleve, where would be some examples. Now, depending on the carrier in the plan, will give you $25 a quarter. Some are $50, some are $75, and some are even greater depending on, the plan, and then also your classification, whether you qualify for some form of state assistance. And then transportation. Some of the benefits are limited depending on the specific plan and the carrier. And the drug coverage. We certainly want to make certain that we're identifying your medications, so that way nothing's falling through the cracks. You're not paying for something that you don't need to be paying for. So again, choosing a Medicare Advantage plan, there's so many options out there. So the things we want to know: do you travel? How often you go to the doctor? What type of doctors? Is it a primary care, a specialist, maybe a variety of specialists that you're seeing because your health is just poor? And then, dental, vision, hearing. Do you go to a gym? Is that important to you? Maybe you want to start using the gym to help get yourself in a position of better health. So not every carrier uses the Silver sneakers. Some use Silver and Fit, and various other providers as well. But we want to make certain that if you are going to use this feature, that we're providing you a plan that is going to be offer that service and that particular facility that you would like to use. I've had in one situation where I'd moved a client from one carrier over to another, and then come to find out they want to use the fitness program and the plan that we enrolled them into. We later found out that they're not a participating facility with Silver Sneakers. So then we had to find a different plan that would identify with Silver and Fit, which we did. We were able to do that because we were in the open enrollment period. So if you have questions, make certain you're getting the answers to your questions. But we take a step further. We want to make certain that we're identifying or answering your questions, but providing the questions that you need to be asking in addition to the ones that you have. So I hope you enjoyed today's presentation, the episode, and these answer some of the questions that you have. Please, we ask that you subscribe to our channel. Look forward to the next episodes coming up in the next coming weeks. We do post Monday, Wednesday, and Friday new videos, so please subscribe to our channel. Again, thank you for watching. Thank you for checking our podcast today. We appreciate you, and please check out our website where we have future dates and times for our Medicare 101 seminars throughout the Metro Detroit area. So please check us out, come meet us in person. Look forward to meeting you in person, and again, tune into our next week's podcast as we dive deeper into Medicare. Thank you. Have a great day.